Hey everyone, it's Elise. Welcome back to my channel where I like to talk about all things personal finance. And we are on part 3 of my series, Cheat Code to Wealth. Last week I talked about how being born into wealth was a cheat code. And this week's topic is about how being married is indeed another cheat code to wealth. Make sure you stay tuned until the end of the video where I will let you know what next week's topic is going to be. And I will say that this next one and the one that's coming after are topics that I left for the end because they are topics that we don't talk about really in society and often we deny, but they are truly risk factors to wealth. So the first reason that comes to mind as to why being married is a cheat code to wealth is because you have 2 efforts for 1 outcome. And I'm not talking about income all the time because in a marriage, in all marriages, it's not that both people involved work. You can have a situation where you have 2 incomes, both people are working, or you can have a situation where you have 1 income and 1 person is primarily at the home being a homemaker. So shout out to the homemakers because that work is indeed hard work if you've ever had to live in a home and maintain it, and it is not often appreciated as it should be. So I did some math on like what it really costs to maintain a home. And I did some math at $20 an hour, 40 hours a week for 52 weeks in a year. And that came up to a little bit over $40,000. I will put the exact number in the screen somewhere. But imagine, that is a basic stipend that I gave that person, the homemaker, because honestly, if you involve children, it should be more. I didn't do $15 an hour because honestly, that's not enough. That's not a livable wage. That's minimum wage, but it's not livable. And then imagine if you are in a marriage where both of y'all are working. It makes sense that you have more of a big shovel to put your money into things that make you wealthy, right? But either way, if you have 2 efforts working towards a goal, that is always better than just having you by yourself. Because as a single person who's trying to attain that status of being wealthy, you don't have anyone to rely on but yourself. And knowing that there are 2 efforts, it kind of helps with the momentum as far as over a long time, because marriages are supposed to be theoretically lifetime commitments. That's where you get those 2 efforts leading to 1 outcome to be beneficial to you. The second reason why I believe that being married is a cheat code to wealth is because it allows for more resting in your everyday life over a long-term time. And I say that because having that other person there is a built-in safety net. And they're built-in safety net emotionally, physically, mentally, as well as financially. And I'm going to focus on the financial part. Things happen in life when you are by yourself or if you're married. Sometimes you're laid off. Sometimes you get sick. Sometimes you have to go from full-time to part-time because you have to care for people in your lives. Maybe somebody, maybe your spouse. But regardless, if you guys are aware of that in the beginning, because everybody should be aware of it because it could happen when you're single, and you guys are judicious with the money as you are a married couple over the years, you know that if something were to happen, you can handle it a little bit better than if you were by yourself. And if you know anything about training and conditioning yourself, rest is an important part of being at your best in any condition, mentally, physically, whatnot. You have to take moments of rest and take moments of breather and take moments of a slower period of time versus the hustle and bustle 100% of your existence here. That is going to lead to burnout, and that's going to lead you to being desperate, and that's going to lead you to making mistakes. But if you have a life partner working with you and embracing the times when when their partner needs to slow down so they can pick up the pace, that allows you long-term to be more fit, like survival of the fittest, to be more fit to get to your goal. And then the third reason why I say that being married is a cheat code to wealth is because society financially rewards married people. There are countless examples. The first one, again, is taxes. If you are married, you pay less taxes. That wasn't always the case in the tax code, but I would say a good 75 to 100 years back is when it started that if you were married, the government, at least in America, gives you a tax break as opposed to being single. Another thing is you have less bills technically because it's one household. You're gonna have to pay that on your own, but if there are 2 people there, those automatically get split in half. Theoretically, even though there might be like a breadwinner in the home, like the other person benefits from that as well. So, and those are like the non-fun bills, like rent, electricity, cable, internet. Those aren't anything, phenomenal, but you're glad that you have them covered every month, right? And then marriage also allows for you to enjoy like softer life things. And then if you have a little bit more income because you are consolidating your income together, your money goes a longer way. That $90 cable bill, that $75 streaming service, that $300 a month on Uber that we spend, or Uber Eats, is a little bit more palatable if two of us are putting it in together, because we share the joys inside the home, outside the home, and the regular bills. Another reason why I say that society rewards married people financially is that in certain circles, you are expected to kind of have a wife or husband at a certain age. Mainly men are expected to have a wife. If you are looking to be in those higher paying, higher net worth positions like executives, professionals, investment bankers, and even politicians, they're looking at you like, where's your spouse? Why you don't have a spouse? They're looking at you like, why don't you have a spouse? And I don't think that's done by accident. There is a value once you get into higher echelons of like net worth and income streams. They're looking for you to have a plus one, and I think it's because it's better for business. There's something about stability knowing that the person you're working with has a stable home life. Argue with me in the comments, but you can't argue that is something that's expected for certain positions and people who make a certain amount of money. And so I know that marriage is not the ultimate goal in life, but I also think that it cannot be denied that it does have at least one good consequence of propelling your wealthy status if that is something that you intend to do. There are some caveats to this though, and some of those caveats are that not everyone wants to get married. So if you don't want to get married, then this doesn't apply. Number two is not everyone can get married. And number three, this I think only works if the marriage has a mixture of love and finances. And people who are good with, by that I mean people who are good with money. It's not going to work if it's all about money most of the time, because you'll probably be miserable. So you can still stay, there are a lot of people who are wealthy that stay in miserable marriages because of the wealth that it brings to you. But I'm talking about if you're trying to propel from a different status. And also, if it's all about love, but there is no judiciousness as far as your finances, it's not going to work either, because there are a lot of broke, happy couples because they are not aware of how to do their finances. But if there's a mixture of both, that's the part that led me to making this video, because I have seen it firsthand in about 6 or 7 marriages where they grew even more in love, but they also grew their wealth status. And fast forward 30, 40 years later, they have been able to do a lot, mixing two efforts with one outcome. And that's why I say a pattern can be drawn that marriage can be lucrative. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Next week, I'm going to talk about how being attractive is a wealth factor to wealth. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.